No, you can be in it. It's fine. All right, I'll turn this way. You don't want to be in it, I guess. I'll go this way. Hi, guys. How are you? Giving everybody a minute to pop in here and for Vanika to hide away from the lens of the camera. Here we go. There you go. You're fine now. You're not in it. I kind of felt like that was going to happen and thought it was funny. Okay. Why won't this work? Okay, I'm trying to admit people in, so just give me a second here to get situated. Compose myself. Welcome, guys. So good to see you, or to see your little square. I know you're out there. I appreciate you. So nice to see everybody. I am on a very, very high note. I have been getting a very large scale spiritual upgrade for the last couple of, months, but the last tail end of it's been happening over the last week. It has been very interesting. Hang on. And I'm like at the tail end of it. Yesterday I took a pilgrimage to a place called Fatima. If you guys saw me make a couple of posts about it, you know, whenever I go any place, I love to go to religious sites, places that are spiritually charged. I feel like they carry just vibration and energy that like is fascinating to me. So I always go to the most spiritual sites. And my dad told me about this place called Fatima that I wasn't even aware of, that ended up being about an hour away from where I'm living in Portugal. And it was a site where in the early 1900s, 3 young children were walking through a field and said that they had a vision of the Virgin Mary and that she came down to them and delivered messages to them. And these 3 children went on to say that one of the messages she delivered was one that they were supposed to tell people about. And it was to gather people in this location so that she could perform a miracle for them to turn non-believers into believers. And these children did this. They relayed this message, and they were persecuted. They were like tortured, like they were kidnapped at some point, you know, people trying to get them to renege on this testimony of what they had seen. But these children were young and they never changed their story. They swore up and down, no matter what anybody did to them, that this is what they saw and this is what they were told. And these people gathered where they were told to gather. And many of the people in attendance reported seeing a miracle with the sun, involving the sun. People said it looked like the sun was dancing in the sky. And enough people saw this miracle, and this place became notable, where people wanted to travel here and come to this place asking for miracles. And now it has a site, literally, it's a religious site constructed by the Catholic Church. And one of the places is a small chapel called the Chapel of the Apparition. And it's on the exact pinpointed spot that the children were standing when they said that they saw what they saw. So it's a really spiritual place. It's a very religious place for people who are Catholic. And people go asking Fatima for a miracle. And they actually have a tradition of walking the path from that the children walked to the place where they saw the apparition on their knees. So you can see a lot of people on their knees taking this long path all the way down through the religious site to the Chapel of the Apparition, like saying prayers and showing reverence. And it's just a really amazing place. And like so many religious sites that I've seen, the energy is different. And I guess that was like the final piece of whatever puzzle I was supposed to pick up. And then today and this morning, we started like a large scale, very fast update. So I will tell you that today my channel is wide open. I am getting very clear messages delivered in a very specific way. Hi, do you have a message for me, little baby? I love you. I know you're fine.
I love you message from Charlie.
Yeah. Very clear messaging from Charlie. But yeah, I'm getting a lot of very clear channeled messages. I told you guys in the past, we kind of end up in this red light, green light phase where you get these pauses and you get these stops, and then you get the green light and you get to go. And I definitely have the green light. So I am firing on all cylinders. I say this to say that, oh my gosh, my little Zola, hold on one second. Why don't you go outside and play with Zola? She's having a meltdown. Go ahead, go play with her. Go outside, play with your friend. They're outside. Oh, they're fine. If you don't think the cutest thing is that crying was Charlie's friend, like wanting her to go outside and play with her, then I don't know like what could be cuter than that. But anyway, I say this to say that if you've ever been wondering if it's a good time to have a session with me or a one-on-one session with me, the next couple of days would be a great time to do that, because your girl's channel is all the way open. I'm in the zone for however long they decide to keep me here. I've got the green light, finally. Thank you. Appreciate it. Love the green light. So first, before I get into chatting about anything else and answering your questions, like I said, if you guys want to think of a question you have for me today or anything that you want me to chat with you about, I can probably answer you pretty clearly today based on the way that things have been going for me. But before we get to that, while you guys are thinking of your questions, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about energetically what's happening on the planet. You know, your girl loves a little astrology, and you know, if you've read the intro to February, that February, especially in this year, is a very powerful month. It is the end of the 222, you know, 222, and in this case, on the 22nd, we have 222, 22. It's the end of these master digit dates for a century. We're not going to see these again. Not more than a century, for 1,000 years. What's 1,000 years?
Millennium.
A millennium. There it is. How could I forget millennium? What? I am millennium. Anyway, goodbye. Thank you for being here and teaching me the word millennium. So freaking helpful. I'm a channel, can't remember millennium. But anyway, moving on. Mariko. Anyway, so this is a really powerful day. These master numbers are super important. I've talked to you guys about how the number 2 embodies the energy of the union, right? Of partnership, of collaboration, of cooperation. Everything that is is with a number 2. So when we get a master number and the number is repeated, it basically just means the energy of the digit is amplified. And so obviously in February, we have this amplification of this digit. Today is an amplified number, right? 2022, we have a lot of 2s in there. We have a triple at least. So these are all days where we should be thinking about how we behave as a partner and how we behave cooperatively, whether that be in a romantic relationship, a friendship, a partnership, a business experience, or just as a member of the planet. You know, how are you showing up in these experiences and what are you attracting? Now, it gets a little bit more complex because on February 22nd, not only will we have this portal and this gateway with the 22222, we also have a very important astrological event, and it's called Pluto's return. And Pluto is a complex planet. If you're up to date, we are calling it a dwarf planet. NASA currently qualifies Pluto as a dwarf planet. It's a complicated planet because it is the planet of death and destruction, but also of rebirth. And it also is the planet of healing deep-rooted trauma. So Pluto's return is happening for the United States, okay? So Pluto is it's far from Earth in its orbit. And it moves pretty slow, right? The further it is from Earth, the slower it orbits Earth. So Pluto takes about 248 years to make one orbit around the Earth. So on February 22nd, Pluto is going to return to the degree in the same sign that it was in on July 4th, 1776, the day that we signed the Declaration of Independence and the United States came to be as a nation. So this is the first time since the US has become the US that Pluto will return to this exact degree in this sign. It's 27 degrees, and guess what sign? Capricorn. Sorry, guys. You know, Capricorn loves the ugly truth. We like to lay shit bare. We like to get right to the bones of it. And that's what we planning to do. So if you're wondering what Pluto's return looks like for the United States, you can understand that since Pluto orbits very slowly, Pluto actually entered the sign of Capricorn about 13 years ago. So the last 13 years, while these things have been bubbling to the surface, what we've seen happen with a little bit more speed and force over the last 2 years as Pluto was really nearing this degree, that's what we do. That's what we're doing. That's what Pluto does. That's what Capricorn loves to do. So that's what's happening, right? And this will go on for about 3 more years. I think it's not until 2024, November of 2024, that Pluto will finally station in Aquarius. When it does that, we will move into the age of Aquarius, which we love. But we are moving there, right? We're going there. But that could take another couple of years, and it's been in motion for the past 13 years, but with more speed over the last 2. So what we've seen in the last 2 years will likely be a theme for the next couple of years, which I think is really interesting, actually, because before I knew that this was happening, I told you guys that I could feel that that was happening. And I'm sure you could as well, right? If you were really tapped in, you could feel that this was going to take a couple of years to sort through. And now we kind of know why. We understand what cosmic and planetary scale is happening that is making that so, right? So, for an individual, obviously, since Pluto takes 248 years to orbit the Earth, we don't see Pluto's return for an individual, right? So Pluto will never return to the station that it was in the day that I was born, because it'll take 248 years to get back there, and I won't be here anymore. Or maybe I will. I'll be the oldest lady in the world telling y'all this story. But as far as I know, none of us will be here when that happens. But what we do get that is quite similar to Pluto's return is a Saturn return. If you haven't heard about this yet, you can gear up for something exciting. Saturn orbits the Earth every 27 to 30 years, which means when you're about 27 to 30, and then when you're close to 60, you're fixing to have shit blow up in your face. Saturn is the planet that is the destroyer. Saturn loves to, for lack of a better term, fuck shit up. Yeah, she comes in to destroy anything that needs to be let go of in order for you to pursue your next phase of your life. Yeah, so between 27 and 30, you probably had any plans that were not serving you blown up, right? It's not pretty, it's not fun, but it also makes way for huge transformation so that you can move forward in your life in a new stage and one that really benefits you. Mine was at 29. That was cute. Most of y'all watched that play out on social media. Thank you for coming. I didn't charge you admission to that show. It was a good one. But I'm sure if you're over that age, you felt it at some point as well. Jenna, we know you had one. Yours was at 30. That was cute. But anyway, yes, Danny, 29.
That was free admission too.
Yeah, free admission to the show, guys. But so since you don't get a Pluto return, individuals get a Saturn return. Pluto's return to a country or to a civilization is a Saturn return, very much like a Saturn return, except it's for the collective instead of for the individual, right? Now, this basically means instead of starting on an individual level, it starts on a collective level and goes down to the individual, whereas a Saturn return happens for the individual and then resonates up to the collective experience. So we know both are interchangeable, right? If something's happening in the collective, it's also happening in each individual. Each of us make up the collective. And if something's happening in the individual, it happens for the collective because we're all connected. However, in this case, it is collective energy primary and individual energy secondary. So you will feel all these things in your own personal life and experience as well, but we'll watch them play out much heavier and faster on a collective scale. So we will see a lot more of what we have been seeing. And the stage is rife for us to see more environmental issues unfold. Because Capricorn is an earth sign, it's a good possibility. Pluto's return basically just sheds light on all things, but focuses on destroying anything that which does not serve the ascension, which does not serve progress. So more emphasis on things that are done out of balance and that are done in darkness. We'll say it that way. So I think that's most of what I wanted to explain to you about what's happening on the planet and what's happening specifically with the United States. So we likely over the next few years in the US, we'll see a lot of change. We'll see a lot of change. We'll see a lot of upheaval. We'll see a lot of potentially we'll see, I don't want to say it. Don't make me say it. We'll see natural disasters. We'll see issues with our political system, with all of our systems. The past couple of years, we've started to see the cracks. We've started to see the holes. We've started to see the light shed. And over the next couple of years, it will be a lot of the same. And it will really gain power and it will really gain momentum in a couple of days. So while I know this can sound scary, it's basically just, it's good to know, because it means that in this, yes, Katie, Pluto's return is just for the United States. Like I said, the return meaning that it is returning to the exact sign. It's just for the United States because it's the first time that it's coming back in this orbit to this exact position that it was on the day that the US became the US. So it's a very significant experience for the United States. But of course, nothing works in a vacuum. So everything affects everything. So every civilization on Earth will be affected. And every human on Earth will also be affected. But it's telling us to embrace change. It's telling us to really be focused now more than ever on building the new. It's telling us more now than ever to reject anything that you were taught that doesn't resonate. If you're subscribing to a place in society that really doesn't serve you, it's time to reevaluate. If you're doing a job that doesn't serve you, it's time to reevaluate. Time to challenge all of your beliefs, all of your understandings, and be prepared to be wrong or to need to be held accountable or to need to shift the way that you're thinking, acting, living. And if you are doing this, and if you're willing to be flexible and you're willing to shift, then this is not a problem, right? Change is only difficult when we resist, when we try to clench our fist and fight change. That's when it's a battle. That's when we lead ourselves into dark or treacherous waters. When we relax into flow and we let the water carry us and we accept change and we accept that we're powerful enough to transform into whatever form we need to be in order to best thrive and to serve. When we trust that and we do it, we're cradled, we're protected. So there's nothing to fear. Your body will naturally shift. It will naturally metamorphosize to whatever it needs to become in order for you to thrive on this new earth and whatever is being created. And not only will it allow you to thrive, it may even allow you to be a co-creator, right? We are all co-creators in this experience. So if we can focus on building the new and on creating what is coming, and if we can do that in a way that feels really good to us in the process, then even better, right? Then you're going to have a hand in building, right? Because destruction means that we're creating space for things to be created. So that means it's a great time to be a creator on the planet, because there's going to be a lot of space for you to build whatever you feel called to build. So yes, it's going to be a little tumultuous. It's going to be a little bumpy. A lot of people are going to be rocked a lot. I actually think that it's going to be a lot rougher for anyone who has not been doing their work and coming forward in this awakening that we've all clearly been called to. And that makes it hard for us because unfortunately those people might be our relatives, they might be our close friends, they might be people that we work for and with, and it's going to be quite difficult to interact with and relate to people that are refusing to transform, change, or awaken during this time. And that will likely be the bulk of our struggle, honestly. So practicing patience, practicing detachment, all of these things will serve you greatly in the next couple of years moving forward, focusing on creation and trust and resilience and knowing that we're all built for this. We're born in this time, and it's not an accident. It is purposeful. You are here at this time on the planet for a reason, And now it's time to accept that and embrace it. Now figuring out why you're here. That's the fun part. I see some chats. What do we have? I have, oh man. What means roughed? Did I say roughed?
No, at some point you say it can be rougher or something.
Oh, did I say it can be rougher?
I don't know how to write it and I don't know what it means. That's why I asked.
What? It may be rough. Did I say rough?
I don't know. You say it can be rougher for people who.
Oh, okay, rougher. Okay, go. I got it.
I don't know how to write it. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You wrote ruffle. So I was like, did I say ruffle? Anyway, so rougher means like more rough, like more difficult.
Oh, okay. I got it. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, it's night and
No, it's fine. You're fine. I just didn't know. I didn't know what I had said. When I'm talking, like when I'm just, it's just flowing. So I was like, did I say that? I don't even remember saying that.
no, it's like the French correction. Like when I type, it changed every word I type.
More rough. That's what it means.
Okay, thank you.
You are welcome. We got it. We're back. Does that make sense to everybody? What I'm saying? Is anybody like, this is way too sciencey for me and I don't care, just tell me how it affects me? Or do you guys like the sciencey stuff? Because like, I like to tell you the sciencey stuff, but if you've like totally tuned me out because I said things like orbit, then like let me know too, so I can like not do that to you in the future. So what I want to suggest to you that you should do, if you think about it, right, this theme of cooperation, this number 2, falling into an experience where the collective is going to be affected by a destructive force, then it makes so much sense what's happening here, right? We need to understand our place in the collective. How do we behave with other human beings? How do we cooperate? Are we good at it? Sometimes we overestimate our ability and sometimes we underestimate our ability. Sometimes people are like, I'm the best cooperator in the world. And they're like the person who did no work on the group project. And sometimes there are people who are like, oh, I'm a horrible friend, to other people are like, what, you're a great friend, right? So looking at ourselves with accuracy and with a lens that is fair is very important, right? Not being judgmental, but being able to just gauge in a truthful way. When I show up in an experience, whether it's a friendship or a relationship, or it's at work in a group environment to create something, how do I feel? Do I feel good? Do I feel like I'm not really contributing to the full extent of my ability? Do I feel like I'm kind of overhauling it and becoming like way too involved in the experience? And it's probably different in every experience, right? In some cases, you might feel one way and in others, you might feel another. You probably don't show up exactly the same, right? Because cooperation means the collaboration of several energies. So yes, it is contingent on where you're showing up and who you're showing up with. So a good thing to do really is to take a look at that and ask yourself, well, how am I showing up? And am I pleased with it? And does it feel good to me? Is it what I really am choosing to express and how I'm choosing to show up? Or is it the manifestation of old habits or patterns? Or is it fear-based? Or what is it? Right? We want to understand it so that we can fine-tune it and we can tweak what doesn't serve us and enhance what does, right? So I'd like for you guys on the 22nd, which is 2 days from today, on Tuesday, to take some time to write down the ways that you show up in cooperative experiences. So you might want to make a few different categories and write friendship, romantic relationship, work collaboration, creative collaboration, whatever really sticks out to you, ways that you show up. And for some of you, it might also be in parenting. That is a cooperation. I know we don't think of it that way, but it is if you're a parent. That is a cooperative experience, even when you say them kids are uncooperative. But I know my mom's like, I'm cooperative, Mom. But I would like for you to write these things down, make some notes, and ask yourself, how are you showing up in all of these experiences? And then write down, how do you feel called to show up in each of these experiences, right? Like, what's the ideal for you when you ask yourself, what am I really capable of? in my friendships? What am I really capable of in my relationships? What am I really capable of in my business, in my creative collaborations? How can I better connect with people? How can I show up to serve more, to lead better, to love more, whatever it is, right? Whatever you feel called to do. And journal about it, write about it, think about it, spend a little time on it, and then try to do a 22-minute meditation. Yeah, if you can do it at 2:22, even better. AM or PM doesn't matter. AM would technically be within the witching hours, so then you're like really hitting all the witch vibes. But if you're already asleep, like I probably will be, then like whatever, you can try and do it in the afternoon. But a 22-minute meditation starting at 2:22 after you've journaled and you've written out these things is a really nice way to just tune into this energy of a millennium, like major energy, and just like go with it and you know, open this up and enhance the ways that you're showing up. You know, I think over time we maybe decide like, maybe I'm better off by myself. Maybe I should just stop dealing with people altogether because people are problematic. And we know that's not true, but it is something maybe we entertain or like fantasize about. We all joke when the Grinch comes out, like we all want to live like the Grinch on that little thing, on that hill, people suck. And I get it. But, you know, deep down, we know we're not built for that. We're not born for that. We're born to connect. We're born to have an impact on other people on this planet. And we all have a purpose and we all have a message. And the faster we start living it, the faster we watch things unfold in our favor, our collective favor. So the more we think about collaboration and how we can really show up as our best self, the better it's going to be. You know, if you think about how you've considered relationships throughout your life, you've probably spent most of your time trying to figure out what's wrong with everybody else. Why is my friend such a shitty friend? Why is my boyfriend such an idiot? Why is my parent so strict? Why is my boss so hostile, right? But we've missed the mark on the fact that relationships are only supposed to help you reflect on yourself. They're not supposed to help you diagnose everyone else. So if we can start looking at the truth of why we are showing up, how we're showing up, then we have a good chance at figuring out why we are attracting what we're attracting. And then we have a good chance at changing so we can attract something different. Every time you change, you enter a different point of attraction and you can attract a different experience. So that's the goal, right? So yeah, spending a little time with that and thinking about how you're showing up on this planet is a really valuable thing to do. And we have a day that is energetically aligned for you to do it. So 22 minutes, start now, figuring out how you're going to carve that out for yourself and just do it. It's going to serve you. It's going to serve you throughout the entirety of your life. And you're never going to have another time that is this powerful for the rest of your life to do this and to meditate about this. So just get it done. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions for me? What's up, Selena?
Hi again.
Hi.
There's also my mom just came like a few minutes earlier. She thought you saw her, but I don't know if you did.
No, I
She
didn't
just
see her. I was in the zone.
yeah. She just wanted to say hi, so she
Uh-huh.
says just say hi for me. And also like about what you said like just before. First, everything you said was so interested. I'm so obsessed with it. And like I love it all the time. Like, yeah, I like it. And like in the next 2 weeks, like I'm gonna work with new people. Like it's vacation here, so it's a different type of work. It's fully days, it's a hard work, and I'm gonna work with people I don't know. And I was kind of nervous and afraid. And I know that I'm gonna be in a team with a girl, like she's like a mom in the real life. And I was feeling so nervous, and I don't even know how she got my number. And she called me like maybe 3 hours ago and she said, "Hey, are you Selena?" And I was like, "Yeah, just everything's gonna be all right. I'm gonna be with you during the vacation." I was like, "How did you get my number?" And she was like, "I found it. I don't know how." And I was shocked. I was, oh my God. And like the pressure was like down, because I felt like somebody's gonna be with me, and like she said, everything's gonna be all right. And I know that it was the universe, and it was like I asked for help, and I felt just so better. I'm still a little bit nervous, but I feel so better. And I know that I'm gonna work with somebody, like the connection is not here. Um, like she's not a bad person, because nobody is bad, but the connection between us is not like, you know, I don't know. I know her since like I'm 8. She was like my teacher before, and I think I'm most afraid because of her, because she traumatized me during but like when I was younger, and I'm so afraid. And I have a question, like how to be able to work with people like you don't feel good with. I don't know if you know what I'm saying, if it makes sense, or it's so complicated. I know that I'm gonna be on my work, and but to be with somebody like this.
Well, this is a difficult question for me to answer in a public forum. This is a question I'd rather answer for you personally, just because
Yeah,
the answer depends on the degree of the trauma and the degree of the interaction. And I would much rather know more details of that before I could guide you on this experience,
yeah,
because my advice would differ. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. Okay.
So maybe you and I can chat in a little bit later on, and we can talk about it. I can help coach you through it in a more personalized way. I think that is
Yeah.
better for this specific question. But in general, just to give you guys a generalized answer that don't want you to take on unless it absolutely applies to you in this circumstance. But how do you work with or collaborate with people if that is required of you and they're not your cup of tea, right? I think that, again, we spend a lot of time when we have a goal, we spend a lot of time looking side to side and judging who's with us to help us accomplish the goal and who's doing what. And we almost spend more time thinking about them and thinking about what they're doing and if they're doing their job and how they're doing their job than we spend focused on what we're doing. When you're truly engulfed in your own journey and your own mission and you're pulling your own weight, that is how you're collaborating with people, right? You're collaborating in a way that you're like, okay, what I can say is I'm going to show up as myself and I'm going to do my damnedest. I'm going to work really hard. I'm going to be receptive. I'm going to be able to sense when someone needs a hand, and I'm going to try to do a little more if I can. And I'm going to sense when I'm slacking and I need a little help, and I'm going to try to communicate in a way that's productive. Hey, I need a little help, right? That's the nature of collaboration. But instead, we get in these non-collaborative experiences where someone becomes the boss and the judge and is saying, you're not doing enough and you're doing too much, and who do you think you are and what's your attitude? And we spend our time in collaborative experiences with that judge, jury, and executioner mindset rather than focusing the whole of our energy on being the best collaborator that's possible. So the idea is we do that because we don't really want to deal with introspection and holding ourselves accountable, because that's not always a joyful ride. And B, because we've become convinced that we can't trust other people, and that if we just leave them to do their own work, they're not going to do it. And then the whole system is going to suffer. And look, I can't tell you that that's not true. I can't tell you that everyone is going to come and pull their 100% of the weight. But I can tell you that you judging them, if they're not going to pull their own weight, you judging them or focusing on them or getting distracted by them is not going to make them any more likely to pull the weight. It's actually going to make them less likely to pull the weight. And it's going to mean that you're not accurately pulling your own weight, which again is going to compromise the system. Except in this case, in this scenario, now you have a part in the fault, because not only were they not doing what they were supposed to do, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. So now you have to eat that and be like, oh crap, I didn't really show up 100% because I was so worried about X, Y, and Z. And now you've got to deal with that. And that becomes a different burden for you. Whereas if you really show up 100% and you trust others to do their work and they don't show up, may that disrupt the system? Maybe, but at least you'll be able to say, okay, well, I know I gave 100%, and now we have a new problem. And without placing blame, how can we move this forward and close this gap? How can we continue to be in a period of and in an experience of creation? How are we always making things better and creating resolutions versus how are we sitting in judgment and therefore creating more separation or detriment to the system? So again, this is a generalized response to this question. It's understanding that the second that you turn your eye to judge somebody else's experience or behavior or how much work they're doing or not doing, you've already compromised your own work. So now not only is their work potentially compromised by your judgment and by their own laziness, it's your work is also compromised by your own judgment. So you're only making things worse for everybody involved. So much better to literally mind your business. There's a reason that that's a phrase that everybody loves. And it's because when you do mind your business, the business gets minded and everything gets accomplished. So hopefully that's a clear answer. And then, like I said, again, Selena, I can give you a more directed answer for your specific situation when we speak privately.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome, darling. Does anybody else have a question for me? Don't be shy. Out with it. People are like coming in and then getting kicked out. I wonder if there's a problem with the chat. I see a question here in the chat. A question, okay, how do you bring up something that makes you uncomfortable that happened, but you still might need to collaborate with someone? I'm not sure I understand your question exactly, Brianna. Do you mind clarifying it?
Yes, I don't mind clarifying it. So I believe you kind of answered similar to Selena on this, but while she was sharing, I thought about something in terms of like having to work with or getting actually to work with someone that you collaborate with. But my question was more so in specific, I guess, about how do you bring up something that maybe happened that was uncomfortable? For like, let's say something uncomfortable happened between me and this person. How do I bring it up so that we can be more effective in collaboration?
Okay. Well, again, this answer varies, but I'm going to keep these as light as possible. I'm going to assume that by uncomfortable, we're not talking about sexually inappropriate or something that borders further than or deeper than uncomfortable. I'm going to assume someone just did something that was just that, uncomfortable. So please understand that the level of the advice that I'm giving in this situation is not pertaining to like anything further than like, oh, that made me a little, oh, I don't like that. Like, I just kind of want to express that I didn't love that and then like keep it moving. So in that experience, what do you do if that happens, or how do you bring that up in a way? And my answer to this is always the same. When you have a reaction to something and it makes you angry or it makes you stressed out or it makes you frustrated, it's never really the time to speak. You need to take a moment. You need to take a beat. You need to be able to speak from a calm place, because the best way, especially if there's somebody that you have to speak, you have to see, you have to work with, you have to be in a collaborative experience with, someone you're dating, someone that's your friend, anybody that's like an ongoing recurring character in your series. Much better to be able to speak from a cool head. That way we can actually connect to the heart. As long as you're speaking from the heart, we can't ever guarantee that something will be received well, right? All we can guarantee is that it's delivered well. So like I'm always saying, we have to be only taking accountability for what we can take accountability for, which is, am I really delivering this message from my heart without anger, without my ego involved, without anything, without wanting to cut this person down or be petty? Am I really delivering this message from my heart because I feel it needs to be communicated, and with the intention of growth and creation? Am I hoping that something better comes from what I'm about to say? If the answer to any of those questions is no, you should just not say anything, right? You should separate, you should stay calm, you should detach until you are in a position where you can answer yes, that it's coming from the heart and that it is with the intention of creation. Can we ever guarantee that even if those things are in alignment for you, it'll be received properly or perfectly? No, you could still anger somebody. Somebody could still be very sensitive. Things could still go poorly. But again, it's the same as the situation that I said with Selena. You'll know that you pulled up on your end, and you know that that's really all that we can do. But once those things are in alignment, I always say you should speak to everyone that you're hoping to create with, like you would speak to your very best friend or the person you love the most. And you should really speak from that nurturing, loving place of understanding and giving people the benefit of the doubt. When you do that, it is the most likely that people are going to turn to meet you and not turn away from you. And if we want collaboration, that's what we need. We need people facing each other and trying to see each other eye to eye as much as possible. So we don't want to speak in a way that causes people to back away from us or causes them to turn away from us, because then it gets very difficult to collaborate because our energy gets blocked. So definitely speaking with that tone, you know, of being able to be like, hey, you know, I just first of all wanted to say I really enjoyed working with you, or I really enjoy this or that. And, you know, just the other day, something was communicated to me in a way that it genuinely made me uncomfortable. And I just wanted to tell you because I love working with you and I want to continue this experience and I want it to be so great for both of us. So also, please feel free to let me know if I've had some part in that, right? Always remembering, like, we are experiencing things from one very blocked perspective, only our own. So maybe you said a little something that caused that person to react that way and you're not even conscious of it. So making sure someone doesn't feel attacked or lectured, and that this is collaboration, cooperation, meaning this is a space for conversation, right? Conversing, speaking to each other about an experience, rather than saying, I'm communicating that this happened to me and that's it. And like, you have to accept it. And like, I don't like that, so don't do it. You know, that puts us in this hyper masculine, hyper aggressive way of handling something, and usually is not received well. You may get the outcome you wanted, but you know, the exact outcome, they won't do that exact thing again, but you're going to deal with fallout of that kind of thing. So soft, open, clear, loving, all words like that should be used when we are really communicating with the intention of preserving and prioritizing growth in the system. Does that make sense?
Yes, most definitely. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Does anybody else have a question for me today? Oh.
Me.
Yeah.
It's not so much a question. I think I just want to take advantage of your channel in this moment. But I do think it kind of ties into what you're saying as far as like collaboration, and what we talked about earlier about like creative expression and all these things. I mean, at the beginning of this year, I felt, I mean, you know how I feel about my career. I do feel like this very deep soul pull to that. And I would say like all of January, I would get like moments of like chills or like a body like jolt, like knowing that something was coming involving my career. And then, you know, I've been going through kind of this dark period. And in that dark period, I feel like I've kind of lost connection to that or touch to that. And then last week, I think we talked about this, someone channeled my grandmother who has passed, and she was telling me that if I stay focused, it's going to happen like immediately, like blah, blah, blah. And so I guess I'm kind of looking for confirmation, or if this collaborative ties into that, because I feel a tie to like an ensemble cast, if that makes sense. So yeah, I guess I'm looking for confirmation, or if source like has more clarity, because when my grandmother was saying to stay focused on auditions, that was kind of the only message I got, but I don't know the clarity within that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you're speaking and you started to speak, the first things coming through for me are like, yeah, like the dark ages come before the Renaissance. So before you even finish that message about like this dark period preceding a quick burst of creativity, of creation, that's facts. Like that's an absolute fact. They are reinforcing that fact. We need these periods of darkness. And when you are in the periods of darkness, you can't really have connection, right? Perhaps to have this true darkness that we need, that prepares us for what we're about to experience so that we can balance it, right? We always talk about, we need duality. So if you want to enter an experience that is of extreme light, you have to go through periods of extreme darkness, right? I mean, you guys are seeing it happen with me. I'm telling you right now, I'm in an experience of extreme light, and I likely will be for the next 6 months or so. But you have watched me suffer through period of extreme darkness for the past 3 or 4 months. So you're seeing it unfold, right? Like it was necessary. One was necessary for the other. And you do lose your connection. So I'm not concerned about that. That is facts. That does mean you actually are in the dark night that you need to be in so that you can propel into what is coming. I agree. When you said ensemble, I got chills down my entire body. So whatever you're feeling around that idea is absolutely confirmed and supported by source, ensemble of some sort. Like, and when you said it to me, you said it very like, I see an ensemble cast, but you see something bigger than that. Like you see it more detailed, and they're confirming that everything you see or everything you've thought is factually, like it's there and it's ready for materialization. When you said auditioning, that's interesting because when you said that, I didn't resonate with that message. I actually felt like the message coming through was that you were going to actually reconnect with or speak with or have some interaction with another person that was going to help you like break this little boundary, and then you were going to slide through. So not necessarily somebody that was going to give you a job directly, but maybe through a very indirect passage, the reemergence of someone you already know or a connection to somebody new via somebody you already know is going to break this little hole and send you through. So it's going to be about a connection to somebody. I mean, maybe that person gives you an audition or connects you with an audition, and maybe that's how those things play together. But I think it would be about being very aware of who you're talking to and who's talking to you and what they're saying, and how you can maybe ask the right questions so that it opens up for you, so that little connection that you have that little hand in, you know what I'm saying? So maybe somebody's talking to you about something, and where you normally wouldn't ask that next question, ask it. Like whatever you feel compelled to say to somebody, say it, or whoever you feel compelled to introduce yourself to, do it. Like there's that feeling. Like don't doubt your instincts about who you connect with, because I think the breakthrough is actually going to come that way. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I love you guys, and I hope you guys got a lot out of this. I hope that you guys will take my little advice to do a 22-minute on 222. It'll be a great experience for you moving forward. And I hope that you guys will take this time to embrace change, challenge your current experience, go into the shadows if necessary, and just really start asking yourself, like, how am I living? What am I doing? Am I doing it in a way that I really feel called to do it? Am I living as loving as possible? And where am I failing to show up as that person? We get so afraid to say, what's my fault? But at the end of the day, we have to understand that, at least in the small ways, right? Again, I'm not talking on extreme scales of like victimization and such, where it's never your fault. But on the day-to-day, everything that's happening to you is your fault. Everything that you're experiencing in your environment right now is a product of a choice that you made. So if you don't like what you're experiencing, you have to take accountability for the choices that you've made that led you here. And you have to understand that in doing so, even though there's some discomfort, you're taking on so much power. You're taking on the power to literally change everything, to shift everything. If you've created this, you can create anything. So you can't, though, until you really understand the magnitude of the power that you're creating with. And taking accountability really is the first step. Everything that's in your experience is your responsibility. You've created it. Maybe you've created it unconsciously because you've refused to pick up a paintbrush and paint your own picture. So universe is doing it for you. But that refusal to awaken and pick up a brush is also your choice, right? So the choosing to not engage is also a choice. So if you don't like the outcomes, if there's something that doesn't feel good in your life, you have tools to change it. Now you have to ask yourself, how did I get here? And what will it take for me to get someplace different, right? And then you just keep playing that game until this someplace different feels great, feels good, you know? So I hope that you guys will do that and really use this time to do that, because the next couple of days, especially, you know, it's going to be a really powerful time for you to do it. It's going to cause, you know, unnecessary destruction of things that are no longer serving us so that we can move forward into a new era and into a new age. And I always say, if something needs to be destroyed and you refuse to destroy it, guess who does it for you? And guess who does it in a not nice way? When universe is like, hey, can you destroy this thing? Hey, can you destroy this thing? It doesn't serve you. Hey, here's some cotton candy and a little gentle nudge. Please destroy this thing. And then you ignore her for a couple weeks, a month, 6 months, a year. Then she comes in with a wrecking ball like Miley Cyrus and is like, okay, bye, bitch. We're blowing this thing up. Sorry, you've run out of time with the cute cotton candy way. We gonna fuck shit up today, right? So don't let Miley come in with a wrecking ball. Destruct it yourself, self-destruct. It's still not easy. It's still not comfortable, but it's easier than having your ass handed to you. Trust. So, you know, as much as you can take that look at yourself and answer honestly, stop blaming other people. Stop saying, I had this problem because so-and-so did this and so-and-so did this. No, how are you creating these cycles? How are you engaging in these cycles? Because this doesn't exonerate other people's behavior and say other people are always right and they're fine and perfect and I'm the problem. That's not the same. That's not what I'm saying to do. I'm saying, let's acknowledge everyone's making mistakes and everyone's acting out of character and everyone's not showing up as their highest self all the time. But how other people are not doing those things is not our business. The business we need to mind, and this ties back into what I was telling Selena, is our own life, is our own choices, is our own responsibility to show up as the best version of ourselves, the most loving version of ourselves all the time. And if we're not doing that, then we certainly shouldn't have energy to decide who else is also not doing that and you're doing it less than I'm doing it. How do you even have time to notice that? You should be putting all of your energy into yourself until you're perfect. And guess what? You'll never be perfect. So that's the loop, right? You're always investing time minding your own business so that you can create, right? And yeah, make creation your focus, make resilience your focus. Know that we are all going to transform and be reborn, and we have to trust it. So I love you guys. I'm so glad I got to talk to you today. I hope to see you guys real soon. I am posting a new tutorial for you. It's going to drop, I hope today. It's 90% edited, but I made a little boo-boo, which is interesting because I've been filming tutorials for literally like 8 years, but I went to the studio without a second device to play music on. So I couldn't record the tutorial with the music. It's a really fun jazz funk tutorial to Love of Your Life by Ray. But I didn't have anything to play with the music, so I couldn't record it like with the music. But the studio I taught at filmed it in class when I taught it that night. So I've been asking them over and over, can you send me that video? Can you send me that video so I can put it in the tutorial? But they haven't sent it yet. So I'm hoping when we hang up that I have it so I can add it. But as soon as they send it to me, I'm going to insert it into the tutorial and you guys will have it. And it's a really fun jazz funk piece. It feels like, I don't know, Dana Alexa Circle, like 2017. It's like a really fun piece. Very like girly and jazzy and theatrical and really fun. But yeah, I love you guys. I will see you guys really soon. See you later.